Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a brand new copy of Contact by NSV Games. Contact is a cooperative deduction game where one player plays as the source using their hand to signal flight time between planets without saying anything. And all other players will be guessing what planet they're trying to signal for. The game is very different from many games that you might have played, and the concept takes a little while to wrap your head around, but hopefully this video will help you understand what the game is and how it is played. Contact has some similar thought processes to The Mind or The Mind Extreme, or even the newer game from NSV called Robots. These games have a focus on perception of time, and if you match your perception with the other players, then you will succeed. But if your perception is different than the other players, then you will be going down a rocky road until players change their perceptions to better match all other players. Let's set up the game. You need to find the 18 planet tiles that have letters listed on the back from A to R, plus the Earth tile making 19 total tiles. Place and spread the 18 lettered tiles with the dark side up, showing their letters in an area on the table that is the size of about twice the box for the height and the width. Make sure that the tiles are uneven or just randomly spread out anywhere in that area. Place the Earth tile in the middle of that play area with the rocket on top of it. This will be the spot where the rocket will take off from. Shuffle the 18 planet cards and place them on the table, and then shuffle the 12 signal cards and place those next to the planet cards. Place the 6 barrels of fuel to use as life points nearby. One player is nominated to start as the source, and all other players are called the crew. Eventually, everyone will have the opportunity to be the source because after each round, the player who sits to the left of the current player playing as the source will become the source for the next round. Lastly, for setup, you will need to choose a difficulty level. It's recommended that you start with a level of 2. This difficulty level will dictate the available number of planets that the source and the crew will be choosing from each round. A level 2 means that you will have 3 possible planets to guess from each round where the signals are coming from. Whatever level you choose, you will take that many number of planet cards from the top of the deck and place them in a new deck called the target cards. This deck makes up the possible options where the signals are coming from and also the options of where the source will be leading the crew to. So again, all players are playing as a team, and the source needs to provide hand motions that best guide the crew to the selected planet. There are 12 rounds total in the game, with a new player becoming the source each round. A round will consist of some steps. First, you will flip over the top signal card, and this card is the number of points that you will be trying to gain this round. There are 2 of each type, numbered 1 through 6. Next, you will turn over the top planet card and add it to the target cards of the target deck. These cards are mixed and shuffled, and the source secretly picks up one of them. This is the secret location that they are trying to guide the crew toward. The source will then look at the table to try to figure out a path in their mind to best guide the crew to the target location. The source can lead the crew to land on any planet, even the ones that are not turned over, and then keep on going after till they stop moving their hand. When certain possible target planets are in similar range, you will need to lead the crew to the correct planet somehow by stopping at other planets that might lead the crew over to the correct planet that the other possible target planet doesn't have. When traveling, you cannot go through a planet. You will need to indicate a stopover by indicating that you land, giving the indicated time for the length from point A to point B. A rule of thumb is if you can't draw a line from the center of one planet to the center of another without another tile being in its way, then you can't do a direct flight to there. You will need to indicate multiple changes in planets by landing on a planet by tapping your fingers down, and then taking off again by bringing your fingers or hand off the table. This means that you touch down on a planet somewhere. This means that you're in flight. And this means that you're landing on a planet. The source will be doing a combination of these movements, changing the amount of time in flight to hint to the crew to the correct planet that the signal is coming from. Here is a quick example of the source trying to lead the crew. Planet G, Planet L, and Planet P are the three possible planets sending a signal. Which one do you think it will be? Let me try to guide you by me being the source. Did you get to Planet P? After the transmission is finished, the player that is on the left of the source will make the first guess as to what planet the source is leading them to. The player will not speak, but they will point to the planet that they have chosen as their guess. The source will respond by saying either correct or wrong. If the guess was incorrect, the signal card is removed and put back in the box. These points won't be scored at the end of the game if incorrect. The team also has to discard one of their barrels of fuel. The next player will then need to make a guess, but the team won't be able to get this signal card worth any points. But they need to guess correctly so that they're not losing all their fuel, because each wrong guess will cause one barrel of fuel to be discarded each time. And when all fuel barrels are gone, you can't continue anymore and all players lose the game. The source is never allowed to hint to the correct planet, but if asked, the source can repeat the flight route using their hand signals 3 times for each player's turn. Once the target planet is guessed correctly, the rocket is moved to the target planet and that planet card is discarded from the game and put back into the box. If it was the first guess for that round, then the team will take that signal card to count for points at the end of the game. Now the player sitting to the left will become the new source, and the next round will continue with the rocket located in the new planet, making new routes for the next player. They again will be flipping over a signal card telling us how much points this round is worth, adding a planet card to the target cards, and then choosing one at random to transmit its route to the other player. After 12 rounds, you win, and you'll count up your signal cards. The closer to 42 that you get, the better your result will be. If you have at least 3 barrels of fuel left over, then you're ready to increase the level of difficulty next time you play. As of now, Contact is the most complex game containing and focusing on the perception of time. Although I wouldn't call Contact a very complex or heavy game itself, so I'm expecting that this new mechanic will be used in more games, which also makes me think that it should be added to the Board Game Geek category to better explain what the game contains. But I expect some heavier and more complex games to be made using this cool mechanic that I call the perception of time. The first game I played using the recommended level 2 setup was too easy for us, but helped us understand the rules, as this game is not really similar to any other games out there. Using the increased difficulty level did help make the game more enjoyable, as you had to pay more attention to more than just 3 planets each round, and the source had to become more creative with their transmission. Now, there is a different way to play the game. They call it the professional variant, and when playing this variant, you will need to be to the point where level 6 in the normal way of playing the game is too easy for you. Level 6 is really the highest that you go due to the number of planets and cards, but in the professional version you will use all 24 tiles that includes 5 asteroids. These asteroids will be placed close to the center of the play area and not close to the edges of the universe. All 24 tiles can be used as stopovers during the flight. You will begin with 5 barrels of fuel and 3 helper cards that are added to give you extra help. You can use each helper card once, and when using it, you will flip the card over to the inactive side. The cards can be reactivated and used again by paying a barrel of fuel to do so. But make sure you manage your fuel so that you can keep on playing the game. Now, the planet deck in this version also becomes the target deck. The source will just take the top card. That makes every single planet a possibility instead of just the 3 in the introductory game. You better be on your game, and the source better form flight paths that won't confuse the crew. resulting in guesses of other planets. Also, the professional variant, you won't be flipping over signal cards randomly. Instead, the source will look at all of them, and they will choose one of the available cards to show to the crew. This should also give the crew a hint as to how difficult the flight path is. You would use a 1 card on the most difficult situations, and a 6 for the easy ones. When playing the professional version, if you manage to make it through the 12 rounds, then you are amazing. And you will open the top secret envelope and find a certificate matching your score. You can place the last target planet sticker on your certificate and try to beat this score when you next play the game. Now, the player playing the source shouldn't take their job lightly. They have a big job and a lot of weight from the crew on their shoulders. Their planning and their performance will give the rest of the team a higher percentage of success. Also, the source will be put into situations where they need to not only plan the flight path, but they need to try to see what the crew might see and use it so that there's only one path that makes sense for everything. Because it might not match up perfectly with other planets aligned in a similar manner. So at times doing extra stopovers might help the crew, while other times it might confuse the crew even more. This game is really fun, and it's a little bit different from the mind. It seems like the team is able to adapt faster, and they get to change the way they perceive time to more match how the rest of the team perceives time. Unlike in the mind where you might be at level 2 and the game is over, with this game I feel like you are at least given a fighting chance. But players and the difficulty will also determine your success when playing the game. This game has what every co-op board game should have in it: teamwork. Players are always focused in every roll, and the scalability to make it more difficult each time. And then when getting very good at it, you can unlock the top secret envelopes and unlock certificates. It's amazing. Without using watches or rulers, players will perceive time and distance traveled, searching for the signals being sent to them in outer space, searching for extraterrestrial life. In Contact by NSV Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.